making stuff and jacked up.
So much.
Making stuff and jacked up. Making stuff and jacked up.
Let it go. He said, get out of the way.
Jacked up.
Get it, PJ.
Could just eat it. Put it right on my gums. So much.
Someone's killing these people, trust me.
The time is here now.
You're listening to Meadows and Makers podcast.
With jacked up and making stuff. Peace.
Good morning, you beautiful human beings, and welcome to another week of the Meadows and Makers podcast. This podcast is all about resiliency and, kind of getting to know some of our fellow Steemians that are moving along in that direction and trying to live in a more, woke, I would say, and self-sustainable lifestyle, and just trying to push the world in a better direction. So that's why I try to get on a lot of guests that are kind of in the mentality of trying to live a more sustainable and resilient lifestyle. And so that's a big part of my show. And so the big mantra I have for my show that I come up with a little while ago is that I will be an inextinguishable light of possibilities for myself and others. And that's something that if there's any kind of takeaway from the show, then I'd like that to be it. So that's definitely something that I think in this day of all of our division and, people trying to divide everybody on all kinds of issues, black, white, male, female, homosexual, straight, trying to divide everybody into these different categories. But I think one thing that we can all kind of get together on is that we all want to live in a peaceful situation. We want to have good food. We want to have, a nice place to live, and we want to move forward and not have to be, kind of subjugated or ruled over. So I think these are some things that we can kind of all unite about. So yeah, I just want to try to tell everybody to, let the fear go and focus. Let's all try to focus on building the solutions. Try to build the solutions and build the systems that leave this old system behind. And so that's what we got going on. So saying that, I need to say the show disclaimer up front. This show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. And the views and opinions expressed on this show are my own and those of my guests, and they do not reflect on MSP Waves and the interactive social media broadcasting station that they've put together here. And they keep running for all you wonderful people out there. And so that's my disclaimer. And so hang out if you want to check out some cool people and some inspirational content. So yeah, so I just want to say hello to everybody in the audience real quick here. So we got Peachy Mod, we got Pensive, pretty nice video, Rondon, the Kitty Girl, and Ex Country Travelers. I got two guests coming on today. One that y'all are very familiar with, should be pretty familiar with, is we got JP Movement 19. He's going to come on and he's going to tell us about all his new efforts and everything. I'm going to catch up with him. And then in the second hour, I'm going to bring on pretty nice videos. Some of you guys may be familiar with Francesca, pretty nice video. Morning, Peachy. And we'll bring her on to talk about what she's got going on and some of her story. Get to know her a little better. So that being said, I will introduce the first guest is JP Steinberg, Movement, aka Movement 19, and he has been working and developing a little project. He's a longtime DJ, and he put together this little thing called Solar Tiny Sound. And so he's got a working project going on right now and doing a fundraiser. And there's his face right there. That's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll bring him on and we'll get to chat with him and see what's going on with this Solar Tiny Sound and everything. So, among other things. So how's it going, brother?
Yo, I heard you got White Owl coming on the show today.
Oh, is that pretty nice? His other nickname?
No, that's this guy JP you're talking about. This ugly motherfucker over here in the chat.
Oh, okay, that AKA White Owl. All right.
Yeah, I heard you had him on the show, so I figured I'd stop by, man. I'm a huge fan.
All right. Good deal. How you doing, brother?
Let's get serious. The world is fucked. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, but I'm kidding.
Hey, man, you gotta be real, but you gotta say, hey, we got an opportunity to move it in a better direction, and if we don't keep doing that, then I think, yeah, it really is. So.
Well, hence the opioid crisis, right?
Yeah, I was talking to a good friend about that the other day, and he is a NASA employee, and kind of like, when you bring up some of these things, you start getting some cognitive dissonance, especially about how the CIA is involved with, running drugs and stuff into the country, and start talking about some of these things, and people start to shut down. But we've been talking about this a lot lately, and we talked about this last night in a little bit in MSP, and like, what a lot of us have been noticing is that it's hard for the mainstream public, the sheep, if you will. I know that's kind of a bad word, and I probably shouldn't call people that. But for lack of a better term right now, it seems like in this day and age, it's really, really difficult for them. Like at one time you would say fluoride and chemtrails and all this stuff, and people would be like, you're an idiot, your tinfoil hat's on too tight, blah, 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 whatever, right? It's really hard for them to argue nowadays. It's really, really hard because a lot of this stuff is actually mainstream, absolute, scientific journals, medical journals, CNN News is reporting on things that a lot of us whack job tinfoil hatters have been screaming about for so many years. Yeah. And so now what we've been noticing, a lot of us, is that now they just kind of shrug their shoulders and like, yeah, well, so what? What am I going to do about it? Oh, well. You know what I mean? I'm dying from cancer because they're spraying me with chemtrails and I'm drinking fluoride, and you know what? So what? You know what I mean? I'm going to go do heroin and smoke cigarettes until I die and everything will be okay. And so really, like, I've had a little bit of a change in attitude, if you will, in recent years. I used to be, I talked about this a lot yesterday, where I used to do a lot of cage rattling and feather ruffling, and I was all about, having a sort of soapbox platform to scream and shout about this stuff and shake people awake. And for a while that kind of worked. I think a lot of us have had those experiences where we've woken people up and then those people have woken people up. But my approach now
is a little bit different. I feel like we've all done enough talking, right? We've all been talking and talking and talking and arguing and debating and coming up with solutions and sharing solutions on social media. And like, we're at the point where we know what we should be doing and shouldn't be doing and how to fix all this shit. We've been at this long enough. For me personally, it's time to stop talking. It's time to start doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Yeah, I totally and wholeheartedly agree with you. And I've come to the same conclusion myself, is that, yeah, we just got to really change our own personal world, and we got to, start walking the walk. Yeah, no more talking. You got to walk the walk. And then, really a lot of the times the divide between the talkers and the doers, that's a big gap. And so really, I think you do more by showing people than by talking about it, for sure.
Right, and that's the thing, is that by becoming a doer, you are very often turn the talkers into doers too. It's kind of like I quoted Gandhi last night: "Be the change," and when you do that, it very often motivates and influences and inspires people to then become doers as well. Honestly, like, I don't think that every single person in mainstream society is going to change and going to become fully sustainable radical hippies, at least not in another generation or two. But I think that it doesn't really matter. I think that the more of us who do, we will ultimately change these paradigms. Even corporate America, well, not even corporate America, the corporate world is starting to realize it, and major corporations like Pepsi and a lot, all the companies now escape my head, but like Pepsi's one of the big ones who are now changing a lot of what they do, a lot of their manufacturing process and materials. The Lego toys, for instance, is now making their Legos out of more sustainable materials, eco-friendly, if you will. Starbucks is doing away with a lot of single-use plastic. I live, a lot of you know now, I've moved to the city of Asheville, North Carolina. And what a breath of fresh air to like see zero waste bulk supermarkets, mainstream supermarkets where all the sheep shop, now doing away with plastic bags and all kinds of things and all kinds of single-use plastics. And yeah, Rondon mentions that Pepsi uses aborted fetal cells, and that's true. But honestly, like, I'm at the point now where I'm willing to say that that's a separate issue. That doesn't forgive or excuse Pepsi in any way, shape, or form, and I really try hard not to consume their products, although I certainly love Pepsi when it's made with sugar as opposed to high fructose corn syrup. But yeah, I think it's important sometimes to separate these issues, because while using aborted fetal cells is absolutely fucking evil for most of the things they use them for, I think it's more important that we address the plastic problem. Like, honestly, like, I've been saying this for a long time. My opinion is that the plastic problem supersedes any and all other problems on this planet. It's above and beyond all wars and heroin and just everything. It's more important than dealing with racism and sexism and everything else, because honestly, if we don't address it, none of that other shit matters. We're not going to survive.
Yeah, I've had some other guests on in the past, and yeah, definitely Freedom Point's hanging out here in the audience, and they did their big trip all across the country, and that was one of the comments that he made, was that people are just leaving trash all over the place. It's just pretty bad. But yeah, we talked a little bit before the show about some solutions for that. I'm a big solutions guy, and there's a guy, Ben Peterson, that built a product called it's an open source design. You can buy the plans, called the Waste Spot, and it uses pyrolysis and injects it into the wood gasification process, and it can break down the volatiles in the plastics into simple gases that you can burn in a generator.
Yeah.
And that's a solution. So
that is actually, I think it's a good solution. There are a lot of waste management companies and landfills that in recent decades have converted their processes and have been creating energy out of combusting a lot of the waste. And I think what you actually just turned me on to this whole wood gasification thing for the first time. And from the quick reading I did, it seems to me like this is like the the layman's solution. This is something you and I can do, as opposed to having a giant landfill.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and one of the other things that actually Francesca and I were talking about a little bit before the show is that, unfortunately, I think that human beings are very reactionary. We're very reactionary. We're not proactive. So, but it takes some people to actually, just like we're saying, to do and see, the solutions and then implement them, and then it's kind of like a ripple effect, I think.
Yeah, real quick, because you mentioned it and I see he popped in, I got to shout out Freedom Point. If you guys aren't familiar with Freedom Point, he's one of the people who helped establish the Global Homesteading Collective and has now moved on to bigger and better things. I urge you to check out his website, which I've not had a chance to check out yet, the Inner Blocks. So it's your show, Greg, but if it's cool if he shares the link to the site, it's also built on Steam, on the Steam blockchain. So it's something I'd be interested in checking out, and I think everybody here should too.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all about reliance, self-reliance movement, and doing the inner work too. So yeah, the Inner Blocks is a project that I wholeheartedly support. And Freedom Point is a really good guy. He's a really great guy. So, yeah, man. Yeah, you're free to drop the link and all that. So, definitely a project that I think everybody should check out. The Inner Blocks is really cool.
Word.
Yes,
so you're a step ahead of me, obviously. I've been a little out the loop these days.
Yeah. Freedom Point came on a couple weeks ago, and we had a good chat. And so. Yeah, it's they're just getting that project started, and man, their story is incredible. They took off and kind of went where the universe has taken them. So, and this is another part of the adventure. So, very cool stuff.
Well, I mean, do we really have a choice, Greg? I mean, like, we try to fight the universe so often. We try to fight and think that we can kind of control everything in our path and in our lives. And like, the truth is, man, you got to really go with the flow, because otherwise you're going to make life a lot harder for yourself.
You know what? Yeah. Now that I've become older and, earlier in my life, doing some things that maybe some people expected of me, and living a life that wasn't my own, I had way more issues. Like, things would just happen that would just get in my way all the time, it seemed. And I was stressed out all the time. And now that I feel like I'm living more of my path, that more things happen serendipitously. It's hard to explain.
I love that word, serendipity.
Yep. Yeah, it's strange. Things will kind of come your way. You'll make connections with people that are really cool people, kind of along the same alignment as you. And I think it's just part of, you just attract, once you start living the life that you want to live without any other people's expectations, I think you start to attract more people in the same kind of vibration or alignment as you. So, yeah, I think it's just like riding a roller coaster, right? It's if you tighten up and you're tightened up on that roller coaster, you're going to feel all the G's. But if you let go, it's like you don't feel any of the G's. You're just flowing with the ride. So that's the analogy I use. So
yeah, man. So listen, I'm gonna real quick jump to some of the important talking points, because I don't want to take too much of your time today. I have to get ready and go do a show.
Absolutely. I have your website pulled up right here with the solar tiny sound and everything.
Oh, snap. Look at that.
Yeah, man.
You the man. Yeah, I knew you would like this, man. I couldn't wait to hit you up. Like, it's been hard for me to keep up with everybody on Discord and Steemit over the last few months, because the last we really spoke, I was moving from trying to move my family from Georgia up to Asheville, and so that was a bit of a process. We actually still haven't moved our tiny house. We're now looking for a piece of land on which to move it. But so we had to kind of get full-time jobs for a little while to play catch up and make ends meet, and our overhead's pretty low since we've gone probably 30% off grid with our lives. So that helps a lot, but our aim is to go 100% off grid eventually, and it's looking good. And so I couldn't wait to show you the solar tiny sound, bro. I knew this was going to be right up your alley.
Yeah.
You were the one who helped me out. You were one of the people who helped me out tremendously in putting solar power on our tiny house, which it isn't even completely fully off grid yet. But you turned us on to a company called Renogy, which is an American-made company making solar panels and all kinds of batteries and charge controllers. Some really great products, which we wound up going with. They're actually quite affordable. I didn't realize how affordable solar power has become now. You know, when I first started looking into it, it was still going to cost, you know, thousands and thousands just to put a tiny house off grid. Nowadays, you know, it still may cost a couple thousand, but relatively speaking, that's not a lot of money to do that, especially when you're ultimately going to pay 0 monthly bills. So essentially, the way I've been putting it to people is that ultimately you can say it costs you absolutely nothing to purchase, you know, and put solar power on a tiny house or whatever, because you have to just figure out that eventually you're paying no bills, so it really equals to nothing when you average it out.
Yeah, you got your upfront costs, but then, you know, you're not paying any bills, so you gotta consider that fact too. So I've had a lot more people contact me about doing smaller systems for RVs and campers and tiny houses. So that seems to be where the market is right now with solar.
It is, and that's what really why I'm doing this solar tiny sound. Like, for me, it's a little bit more personal, fun, and creative because I'm a DJ and I wanted to figure out how to continue to use electricity to make and play music the way I have for so long, but be able to live off grid and travel with my family and not have to always look for a place to plug in and charge things and whatnot. And so the other thing that I thought, well, wow, if I'm able to do this with, you know, with electronic music components, which, you know, take a fair amount of power to run, well, someone who's doing this just to live day to day and just do their bare bones charging phones, tablets, maybe run a small refrigerator and such, can very easily do this, you know, with exactly the components that we're using for the solar tiny sound. And the actual solar generator that we've purchased by itself, even if you buy it brand spanking new directly from the company, is going to run you under $1,000. We actually wound up getting a really good deal. I found it on eBay, brand spanking new, for under $600. So you can find it, and this is brand spanking new with a warranty. I saw quite a few for sale between Amazon and eBay. But again, even if you bought it directly from the company, it's under $1,000. So that's still pretty affordable for just about, you know, even for fairly poor people. I mean, we're pretty poor, so, and we were able to do this. So that's what I want to show. That's one of the reasons why, not just to have fun and be able to play music, but to show people that there's a way to do this but still be a consumer and not necessarily have to like learn everything there is to know about solar power and have to build the whole thing yourself. You can quite literally go out and purchase something that works right out of the box.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, and these systems, another thing that I've been thinking on as well to even further reduce the cost, since people in this community are into cryptocurrencies, is that you sign up for a purse.io account and you can get up to a 20% discount, and even more if you're buying stuff with Amazon with cryptocurrency. So that's even a possible business opportunity there for people, is to buy through purse.io and get people a discount on some solar stuff. So
wow, I did not know that. You just turned me on to something.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go put that in my browser and save it for.
Yeah, so if you're making Steem, I believe they use Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash for their wallet, but using Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, you know, you take your Steem to an exchange, you get some Bitcoin, and then you know, that's how people buy Bitcoin. They're buying, you know, based on products. So you can basically, how it works is you go shopping on Amazon and you send it to a person as a gift, and so it gets sent to them as a gift. And yeah, let me grab that. Let me grab that link and share it with everybody. But that is,
yeah, that looks cool, man. I knew that Amazon had been talking about taking crypto, and I actually heard they started, but I didn't really look much into it. My Amazon Prime account expired a couple years ago, and I haven't renewed.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I've been looking into that as a way of putting together some kits for people, and put together my kit, and then being able to offer a discount for people using cryptocurrency with Purse and getting their solar stuff for cheaper, and I can just drop ship it to them pretty much. So.
Yeah, well, see, that's interesting. So the other part of the Solar Tiny Sound. So as I said, I put it together for primarily for the purpose of being able to play music. Out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of the desert. Anywhere in somebody's backyard where you can't find an extension cord or whatever. The main piece is the Renogy Phoenix. It's called the Phoenix, and I know you've probably seen it. It's a little briefcase-sized solar generator with a built-in lithium-ion battery. The charge controller and everything's built all into the one unit. It opens up, and it's got a 20-watt solar panel built into the unit itself. It runs AC and DC power. It's got USB connections. It's got a cigarette lighter connection. It actually comes with a really cool couple of accessories. It has a wire you can connect to it and just screw a light bulb into it. So like you can get a nice LED light bulb, which I actually have a couple laying around. I've been meaning to grab one and put it with the kit. So you could just hang this wire somewhere, or like from a tree or whatever, or a fence, and you've got a light bulb. So then we did get that with the optional 100-watt panels that you can connect to it that will then charge the unit much faster. I did notice that it even charges on a pretty cloudy day, man. Like, it'll take a long time, but still charge. Really cool thing too is that you can take this generator indoors or wherever you can actually plug it in and charge it from a wall socket or from your car, and it'll charge actually very quickly. I think it takes less than 2 hours to fully charge from 0 to 100. Now, I've done a lot of test runs with it, like just using it like a normal person and just charging phones and things. I put it in the car, and I had like an extension cord going to the passenger seat. And I want to say I could continuously charge everybody's phones, tablets, camera batteries and things. And we ran it probably for about 2 days, and it was only down, it was down to like 20%. So we could have probably gone another day or half a day with it. But that's about as, I didn't run it all the way down to 0 just because I didn't need to. I've been doing a lot of different experiments just to kind of see how the ordinary, an ordinary consumer would use it. Using it with the Solar Tiny Sound can be a little bit tricky because I don't think that this is exactly what they intended when they designed this. So I'm plugging into it a laptop, which is then running a MIDI controller through bus power and an external hard drive. Now, I want to actually take the external hard drive away from it and use a USB stick. I think that'll make things a little bit easier on the current. But I'm able to do that and run a Mackie Free Play speaker, which is Mackie. If you're not familiar with Mackie, it's a very high-end professional audio company. They make huge mixing boards and PA systems for bands and DJs and stadiums. And so they put out a line of Bluetooth speakers that are designed as PA speakers. They're louder than your ordinary and cleaner than your ordinary Bluetooth speaker. The one we picked up is really cool. It's actually the first model that they put out. It's the Free Play Personal PA. It's a little over 100 watts with an 8-inch woofer. It's got tremendous bass response. The back of the unit has professional inputs for mics, and it also has a regular mini jack for your ordinary consumer to plug in their phone or whatever. It's Bluetooth, obviously, so it works wirelessly as well with any device, any Bluetooth device. And the really cool thing about it is now this thing comes with an adapter to plug it in, so you have to have it plugged in if you buy it as is. However, underneath it has a compartment where you can either fill it with D batteries, or you can get the optional lithium-ion battery made by Mackie, which we did. So we actually have the rechargeable battery inside of it. So so obviously we do plug it in most of the time because if I'm, how I am, I bump some pretty bass-heavy music.
Yeah.
So that's going to wear out the battery a little bit quicker at high volumes. So I try to keep it plugged in most of the time. I have tested the entire system with, running just on batteries. And if I bump it at a pretty good volume, I'm going to get about an hour before I have to start lowering it, start noticing it. And that's normal. That's to be expected. None of these companies will lie to you and say that you can actually bump music for 5 hours, at full volume. That's not going to happen. But for background music, for small gatherings, it still sounds pretty good, and you can keep it, more than halfway up and still run the battery to the ground for about 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, and of course, that's where the solar generator comes into play. Is then, that if I have everything plugged into that, then I'm not draining the battery on the laptop and the battery on the speaker until I absolutely need to. So I can go for quite a number of hours before I need to do that at full volume.
Yeah, that's very cool, man. I know I helped one of my buddies was real big into doing DJ stuff for a while for weddings and everything, and man, hauling all that equipment in is quite a pain, and then figuring out where you can plug in and everything. So yeah, being able to pull out a mobile solar powered system has got to be like super quick for setup and everything.
It's pretty quick. I mean, I'm plugging quite a few things together, so it takes a few minutes. And I actually have another Bluetooth speaker that I use as a monitor. So like, it takes a few minutes to sit there and plug everything in and connect all the wires. But it is really easy to do. It's all basically consumer and prosumer products, so it's nothing terribly complicated. You really don't have to be savvy. It's all plug and play. So this is where it gets exciting, though. The Solar Tiny sound that I've been describing to you, that I've been showcasing for a number of weeks with a group that, called Hip Hop is Dead, is actually officially starting yesterday up for raffle.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to do a little bit of editing to the website today, but all the information is there on the website. It's movement19.org, which is basically just a way to get to all our social media and email us and whatnot. So you'll have the links for Steemit and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything. But the raffle is being run through a third-party website. You wouldn't believe how difficult it is to find a website that lets everybody do raffles. Most of the websites I found will either not let you do a raffle at all, like Patreon, or you have to be a nonprofit, a 501c3, doing it for charity. So I was only able to find one website, very, very reputable. I did a lot of research. I looked into them. I actually chatted with the owner. They're called Accel Events, ACCEL. So they're only charging us $99 for the service, and then it's $1 per raffle ticket sold. So it sounds like a lot, but it's actually not, because this isn't going to be a cheap raffle. As you hear, the stuff that we're raffling, is pretty high end stuff. It would run you several $1,000s to purchase this equipment on your own. So the lowest price on the raffle is going to start at $25. However, that's going to actually include a sustainable Hip Hop is Dead t-shirt, which actually I just got today. Let me share a picture of that. These are really awesome. I'll do this while I'm talking. We got these t-shirts locally. They're made from recycled plastic bottles. So these t-shirts will prevent a lot of plastic bottles from winding up in our waste stream. And the factory that makes them is 100% solar. So it's a really, really nice material, super soft, really durable. I can tell just from looking at it and touching it. It feels really good, very comfortable. They were silk screened locally by a guy who, exclusively sells sustainable clothing, his own clothing line here in Asheville. So actually their logo is actually on the back. It's called Mount Inspiration. And the silk screening process is somewhat sustainable too. He's not fully off grid. He's not 100% sustainable, but he's going in that direction. So we're going to form some sort of a partnership now and continue to pump out t-shirts and different merchandise.
Wow. Very cool, brother. So you're going to kind of go, what all is this Hip Hop is Dead tour about? Are you kind of going to go travel around for a little while with this and, get some different acts and stuff set up and
yeah. So basically, Hip Hop is Dead is this. Right now, it's the official. The core group is me and two amazing percussionists that are just like I've been working with musicians for a very long time. I've worked with some amazing musicians. I've worked with a lot of drummers. And I've worked with people who do percussion, but like I've never really just straight up worked with just straight up percussionists and like who have like an arsenal of instruments that are just like any kind of sound you can possibly imagine. And so we're all fans of hip hop. Hip hop was my first love. We all love EDM. I'm a raver from day one. And so, that in and of itself, like hip hop and EDM is something that I've been marrying for a very long time as a DJ. And musically and culturally, we're all heavily influenced by the Grateful Dead and the culture that surrounds the Grateful Dead as well. And we're heavily into psychedelics as a lifestyle as well. So the idea just kind of popped up in my head one day to have something, to start a sort of a Grateful Dead cover band that rather than covering Grateful Dead songs, we play live hip hop and EDM. And the idea is to be able to travel. I've been dreaming about this for a couple of years, to have like an off-grid sound system where we could travel to Dead shows and actually just pull up on lot, set up and start bumping music. And so that's literally what we're able to do now with this Solar Tiny sound. And it's a great way to showcase the sound, to get gigs, to play music and have fun and be able to make some money on this raffle and keep this thing going for, the rest of our lives, hopefully.
Oh man, that's very interesting. So how do people participate in the raffle? Do they just go to your website and there'll be some link to that, and that's what you're working on?
Yeah, so basically it's all set up except I've been a little behind our timeline, so I'm waiting for a couple of things to be verified with my bank account and Square and all that stuff to be connected to the raffle. So it may not be till Monday or Tuesday when I can start accepting debit and credit card payments from anybody, around the world. But I can still take payments through Square and PayPal and everything else, and Facebook and whatever, and Steam if need be. I'm totally willing to take crypto as well. And so I will have the website completely and fully functional with a link to the raffle by Monday or Tuesday once everything is verified and functioning. But there's actually a few tiers to the raffle. I can tell you really quick. So initially it starts at $25. That's going to be one raffle ticket and a T-shirt. After that, it's going to be $50. That's going to be for a T-shirt and 10 raffle tickets. The next two tiers are targeted mostly towards business owners, preferably local business owners. Now, it doesn't have to be local just to Asheville, but any business owner that can say that they're a local business and that they're encompassing some aspects of sustainability, zero waste, peer-to-peer business models. It doesn't have to be all at the same time, but like any of those aspects of running a local and sustainable business. So the next tier is going to be $100. That's going to include 10 raffle tickets. That's going to include a T-shirt, but that's also going to include a graphic ad, which we will run during all of our podcasts, all of our live streams, on all of our social media, and on the website for 1 year from the time that you first purchase your raffle ticket. The last tier is a little bit pricey, and it's going to be limited. It's going to be a pretty big deal. The last tier is going to run you $500, but I'm only going to be able to sell 3 of those because what you're going to get with that is going to be. Hold on, you know what? I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Let me open up the link so I can actually read it because I want to give you accurate information.
All right, yeah. So Soundwaves is going to have to sweet talk you. He's looking for a free raffle ticket.
Soundwave, shut up, please. All right, wait, I gotta log in.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, so okay, so that's still cheaper than the system is buying.
Oh my God! I mean, yeah. Even if you don't win, honestly, you're going to get a lot out of it because even at at the $100 and the $500 tier, and I'll explain to you what the $500 tier is in just a second. You're really getting a lot of bang for your buck, and you're still walking away with an experience and at the very least some merchandise. So hang on a second, I got this open.
Right on. All right, good deal. Yeah, this is pretty cool, man. I dig it.
All right, so. The $500 tier goes like this. It's limited to only 3 entries. It's going to include 10 Hip Hop is Dead sustainable t-shirts and 25 raffle tickets for the Solar Tiny Sound. This tier is for local business owners. If you purchase this tier, we will organize an event at your place of business with Hip Hop is Dead and the Solar Tiny Sound, along with other supporting DJs and musical acts. We will provide catering with our food truck for the event, and we will shoot the event with professional cameras. Once the event is over, we will edit a short documentary about your business, as well as a 1-minute commercial to run during our podcasts for 1 year. The commercial and the documentary will be yours to keep and use as you see fit. So, if you know anything about shooting commercials for local businesses, that can actually be quite pricey. It will cost, even the cheapest commercial is going to run thousands of dollars for someone to just pay somebody to do it for them.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then I probably should get a little bit more in detail here on this description, but it won't just run on our podcasts. We will be able to actually, we're going to edit the commercial so that it can be seen with no sound, or it can be seen also watched with sound. Because like sometimes, if you ever been to like the movie theater, sometimes people will run ads while you're sitting there waiting for the previews to start, and sometimes they're actually commercials and you hear it, and sometimes it's just a visual ad. So we're gonna adapt it so it can be used either way. And then the sound, the edit will be edited in such a way so it can also be played on radio and audio only podcasts, so you don't have to see and hear the commercial at the same time. And it'll be in whatever formats you'll need to like play it in different places, right? So a lot of businesses, for instance, will have like an LCD screen and they'll run ads and stuff inside their stores. A lot of local, there's billboards. There are a lot of times I've seen a lot of digital billboards that can actually run, ads and animations and things. So we have a professional team that we put together, people I've worked with over the years. I have IMDb credits. I've done videography for Nike and Cornerstone and all kinds of major companies. So I do have a lot of the experience myself and a pretty good resume. But I'm also working with I'm working with one actually award-winning independent film maker who's jumped on board this project to do some of the editing and the shooting with us. So, if some people might be wondering like, why should I give this guy $500 to shoot a commercial? What if it sucks? We've got it. We've got the experience and we've got the skills to shoot a $5,000 commercial for you at the $500 tier.
Right on, man. Right on. That's pretty neat. So, are you gonna, I guess, mainly stick around the Asheville area with this, or are you planning?
So I'm using the word local, and I think that's the big question. Is like, so is it just for that particular tier? Is it just going to be businesses around the Asheville area? The only big issue there is that we want to use the food truck. We have access to a food truck for the events that we're going to do, and this food truck won't make it too far. We don't have to use the food truck to cater the event. So I think that since it's only limited to 3 entries on that particular tier, that we could take it on a case-by-case basis. And if someone's seriously interested, they're probably going to talk to us before they purchase that tier. So, case-by-case basis. I mean, we're touring up and down the East Coast, so there's nothing really stopping us from doing one of these events wherever, in New York, in Maryland, in Florida. It really doesn't matter.
Now, are you limiting the raffle for people within the U.S., or can other countries participate as well?
Yeah, that's another thing that came up, because shipping this thing outside of the U.S. could be a tiny bit pricey, although I've been looking at it and it's actually not all that heavy. I think we'll make enough money to say, yeah, it's fine. If somebody wants to enter from another country, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to ship it to them. We'll make that final decision by Monday or Tuesday when everything's completely finalized. But right now I'm leaning towards doing it globally.
Yeah. You could just put a caveat in there that's saying that extra shipping would be included for people outside the U.S. and everything. So that's cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah, I don't imagine it'll be terribly expensive to ship this anywhere in the world.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool. So that's awesome, brother. So what kind of inspired you to, what was your inspiration to get out there with this?
Man, it's just, this I've been doing this music thing my whole life, and I've become so passionate about sustainable living and off grid living over the recent years, and again, like, it was just really a personal dream at first, just something I wanted to be able to just show up at Deadlot or do after parties like at raves, like in a park somewhere, and not have to worry about finding power. And I just figured, like, what's developed in my life and my family's life in recent years, and having been able to use platforms like Steemit and other social media to reach the entire world, and then, like, because of Steemit, like, I think that we've been able to connect with more like-minded people around the world, and at the same time, like, unfortunately, we're not fully off grid, and even if we were, we'd probably still have a little bit of a need for fiat to kind of make ends meet here and there. And so I just kind of saw it as a way for my family to be able to kind of have a little family business and have the children involved and all be able to be creative and have fun and teach people how to do things somewhat sustainable and on different levels. And so it's kind of like an all-in-one. It's kind of like a way to this really lets us really do everything we want and need to do at any given moment, and really not have a lot of worry and not have to, we really don't need much after this other than food and to be protected from some inclement weather.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I'd be interested in actually, I'm planning to take my trailer up north to the Pork Fest this year, so maybe we can drop on in on it.
John Vibes spoke at Pork Fest a few years ago. I think he's actually been there a few times. He's been telling me I really need to make it there, man. I've been dying to. Is that in Vermont?
It's in New Hampshire, so yeah.
Right, I knew it was up there, right.
Yeah, if you're interested in going, maybe we can link up and head up.
I gotta check the dates, yeah, because starting now, from week to week, we're gonna be in different places around the East Coast. We were supposed to be in Virginia this weekend, but we've had some car trouble. We just got a minivan, and we gotta make some repairs to it or trade it in for something else. So we have to put the tour on hold for another week or so. But we do have some real gigs coming up. Actually, I just put up a podcast right before your show that I did exclusively with John Vibes while we were on our way up to New York last week. We stopped off at his house and stayed overnight, and him and I did an exclusive stream live into Greenhouse Radio. And so he's given us a lot of information about his book that's coming out. And he's officially booked Hip Hop is Dead on June 29th for his book release party. So we're actually going to be showcasing the Solar Tiny Sound. We're going to do the outside smoking section. We're going to do a couple of extended sets with the Solar Tiny Sound and Hip Hop is Dead at John Vibe's book release party on June 29th in Baltimore, Maryland. So that's super exciting.
Dude, very cool, man. Yeah, I just posted that up there, so that's neat, man. Yeah, he writes for the Free Thought Project, or he did?
Yeah, he writes for a number of outlets, alternative media outlets. The Free Thought Project is just one of them. He's done a lot of writing for Cop Block and Police to Police over the years. There's a couple other, The Mind Unleashed, and this is actually the 5th book that he's publishing. It's called Paper Squares and Purple Stars. And what's really awesome about this, well, there's a lot of way more awesome things about this book, but I'm actually in the last chapter of the book because it's a memoir about his life as a rave promoter, and that's how John and I originally crossed paths. So then the book, without giving anything away really, the book leaves off kind of where he leaves the scene, he and I come into the Baltimore scene and take over where he left off. And so I'm actually going to be now writing part 2 of this book, essentially, which, that's going to... It's yeah, Soundwaves, just shut up, please. It is awesome because I'm in it, damn it. I mean, that's a tremendous honor, really. Like, no one's published a book that has anything to do with me before. It's pretty exciting, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool, brother. That's an interesting story how you guys got linked up together.
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk too much about it. The podcast is up, the video's up with him and I. So you got to read the book, man. I had a copy of it a couple of months ago, and I haven't even made it all the way through it. I haven't even made it to my part yet.
Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, catch me up on some other stuff that you got going on. So you guys you guys got some work up there in Nashville, and you guys got a little apartment and stuff going on up there.
Yeah, well, we did a little bit of a 360. We had to kind of come back on grid for a little while because, like I said, things were a little rough. We didn't, we kind of dove in the deep end head first, and yes, we'd spent a lot of time doing research, and we kind of, a lot of it we knew what we were doing, but the situation wasn't quite 100% right for us just yet, so we had to backtrack a little bit. We know we want to settle and live in Asheville for maybe not the rest of our lives, but we're talking about probably having another baby here, and we are going to go back off grid. Like I said, right now we're looking for a piece of land that we can at very least rent and afford, which shouldn't be very hard to do here. The only expensive thing is going to be moving the tiny house because it's not really truly a tiny house. It's actually a 12 by 32 cabin. So it's not on wheels. We'd have to hire a drop bed trailer to move it for us, which may cost a couple $1,000s. It's only about 4.5 hours away, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not much. We can, Asheville's a great city for just finding work. Like there's temp agencies everywhere, there's factories everywhere. It may be shit work, but it's easy to work for a number of weeks or months or whatever until you need to make ends meet and play catch up or save for whatever it is you're trying to save, which is really how we've been able to move so quickly and get to the point where we're at now, where we're ready to kind of go back to either not working or working very sparsely and earning a living doing this and blogging and Steemit and combination of things, obviously.
Very good, man. Very good. I'm glad things are working out up there for you. It sounds like that's really cool. I spent some time in Asheville, probably when I was about 19. I went up there to go volunteer on a Appalachian Trail volunteer trail crew, and got to spend some time around that area. So yeah, it's beautiful up there in the Appalachians, and lots of great people too. Yeah, just like you're talking about, the vibe is really cool.
It's great, man. I mean, it's been really, it's been frustrating ever since like becoming so woke to the plastic problems years ago, and like living in the Northeast, New York, New Jersey, tri-state area, and interacting with family and friends and people who just weren't at that point that we were at yet. And it's been a real struggle emotionally and psychologically and in every other way. And even, your day to day, trying to live zero waste and trying to live sustainable, and like people judging you left and right, or they think you're judging them because you're the asshole in the room that doesn't want to use single use plastic. But so it's yeah, so it's been a really kind of a breath of fresh air living in a city like Asheville. We've been very quickly spoiled. I mean, when you do walk into a place that has styrofoam cups here, it's kind of shocking because it's very rare to see. And probably in another year or two, like Asheville will be one of the first cities to be completely and fully like plastic free. I think, and I hope, unless and of course, I mean, the governments all over the world are now finally addressing the plastic problem, and it's very serious, headline news. It's hitting CNN and National Geographic, covers of National Geographic and whatnot. So, I mean, it's hard to ignore. And yeah, it's cool that the governments are doing this, but the fact that people have been sitting around twiddling their thumbs and waiting for the government to tell them you have to give a shit about the planet, that's frustrating for people like us. It really is. And so living in Asheville, it's been a breath of fresh air, but at the same time, I'm trying not to forget that the rest of the world exists and that this isn't the end.
No, it's not the end. I kind of see that we're at a point in human history where I believe we kind of have to make a decision. Do we want to be led by others, or do we want to move in a more personal responsibility and lead yourself direction? And so I think we're kind of at that crux point, and truly, if we embrace the personal responsibility and leading ourselves, then I believe an age of abundance awaits us. And
it does. I do believe that. I mean, a lot of my friends like have a more bleak outlook on the future, and I understand why. I get it. Like, people are so apathetic and lethargic and complacent, and even like I said, like nowadays people know you're right. They know that us tinfoil hat whack jobs are right. but they shrug their shoulders, and it's like, well, what am I going to do about it? And it's like that's where I feel like us putting our ideas into action, and instead of telling them you can do this, and that, shut your mouth and just do what you do. They're either gonna figure it out or they're not.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yep, just like you said earlier, be the change you want to see in the world, and so. Yeah, that's definitely the good path forward. I think I read the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu a long time ago, and it says that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one part of the Tao Te Ching where it says, the wise man will see the Tao and he'll embrace it, and the fool will find it foolish and mock it, and not and pretty much call it mock or just silliness. So, it's just you speak and you do. And those that can see the good in it will move in that direction. And then, if they don't, then just keep on keeping on.
Yeah, and that's another thing that the Solar Tiny Sound I hope will help us to kind of open people's eyes to the fact that like it's getting easier and easier to be sustainable. It's getting cheaper if you're working really hard for shit money. So it's getting more affordable. And you don't, again, as I said before, you don't have to be quite so savvy. You don't have to learn how to build, solar panels yourself. I mean, even just like 5 or 6 years ago, my wife and I bought a little BioLite solar panel that will charge phones and small devices that was like $59 on Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah, those are cool. Yeah, sorry, just seeing the comments that I might be cutting out a little bit. Sorry about that, and maybe I need to change. It doesn't look like I'm dropping any frames or anything like that, but we're coming up on the end of the first hour, and just if you got anything else that you want to close out with, movement. I know you said you got some other things that you need to prepare for today. And then,
yeah, well, Hip Hop is Dead is playing from about 3 p.m. on. Well, actually, I'm going to be there at 3 p.m. The drummers have a soccer game. Their kids have a soccer game till about 5. But around 3 p.m., I'm going to be setting up the Solar Tiny Sound outside of Asheville Pizza in South Asheville, right off of Hendersonville Road. And we're we love Asheville Pizza. It's actually owned by Asheville Brewery. If you know anything about Asheville, they've got the most beer breweries per capita. Amazing beer culture here. Even if you're not a drinker, like I'm not a drinker per se, but I enjoy good beer. So what I love about Asheville Brewery is you can go there and get these refillable glass 64-ounce growlers with all the different beers they have on tap. And then on Thursdays, they'll fill it for $10. So every Thursday, my wife and I go get our growler of beers filled. And so we haven't bought a 6-pack with plastic rings or any kind of disposable container of alcohol in quite some time. So that's one of the things like I want to do with Solar Tiny Sound, the raffle, and Hip Hop is Dead with the marketing is like promote those kind of businesses where okay, the entire operation may not be sustainable from top to bottom, but the fact that consumers can purchase zero waste beer is a pretty big deal to me. I mean, people like to consume beer, and it's how many plastic rings are floating in the ocean from people drinking beer. It's insane.
Yeah, I guess I was learning not too long ago that most of the grain in our country that's grown in our country is glyphosated, and that includes all beer and everything.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure probably their beer has it in there too. It's not organic and non-GMO, but listen, one step at a time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. You just gotta, just realize it and then, just start, kind of looking for the alternatives. It's not going to be a fast process for doing any of that. So for sure, you just gotta one step at a time. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, man. Hey, thank you so much for having us on, man. I love what you're doing, bro. I'm glad you're still here. I've been away for some time, and I had no idea who was still here and who's not, and it's good to see you doing your thing, man. I always look forward to Saturday afternoons. What's up with Jack, man? He's not around today?
Oh yeah, you weren't there for that, but yeah, Jack wanted to spend extra time on Saturdays, and he's kind of stepped away from Steemit for the most part. I think he found a little community over there on Smoke.io, and he really enjoys. That's his passion, is doing a lot of stuff for
Yeah.
cannabis. So he's been over on Smoke for the most part, and yeah, I haven't got to talk to him too much recently, but he's been working on his house, and he's gonna be busy probably all summer into the more recent future building his house. So
Word. Yeah, I got a Smoke account actually right before I came to Asheville, and I promised all the good people at Canna and Grow that I was going to be posting, at least cross posting. It's just I'm just now getting back into the swing of things, as you can see in the last week or so. So I will get back, and I will be back to like more full time, daily posting and whatnot. And Smoke will be in my repertoire. It's just taking time to iron out all the kinks. I'll take this opportunity right now, real quick, to shout out everybody over at Greenhouse Radio Online. Pensive was good. Thanks for joining us, homie, and all the good people over here at MSP. I got to shout out to Kitty Girl. Yo, I'll be back over to Steemit Ramble very, very soon. I just got to have posts to pimp.
yeah, man, yeah, you're always welcome on the show, man, and it's just great catching up with you. And man, yeah, reach out to me anytime, and yeah, maybe we can link up about Pork Fest and maybe do something for that. I don't know.
I'm down. I got to check the dates and make sure we got nothing else. But yes, I've been dying to make it to Pork Fest, bro.
Awesome, brother. Awesome, brother. Well, man, thank you again for your time today, and good luck. And yeah, I put all the links in the chat here, and then also gonna add them to the recording so everybody can find your stuff. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, sir. Peace and blessings to you all, you and yours, and all you wonderful people here in the audience. And Soundwaves, just shut up.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you again, brother, and you have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you. We'll catch you later. Thank you again, brother. All right, I'll throw you back in the audience here. All right, so that was Movement 19, JP, and you got a really cool project there with the Solar Tiny Sound and getting this raffle going. So yeah, everybody go check out his website. It's movement19.org, and the Solar Tiny Sound project, and keep up with what he's got going on there. It's pretty cool, and it sounds like yeah, some neat events coming up in the near future for that. So that'll be really neat. Yeah, maybe you see us both at Pork Fest, and no, we're not just eating barbecue. It's a liberty festival. It's a bunch of libertarians, anarcho-capitalist type people all getting in together in the woods and showing how we can live a more voluntary society kind of thing. So it's an interesting event and something I'm looking forward to going to and kind of demonstrating the trailer and getting to meet some people that are in that community, more people in the community. So stay tuned for that. So next up, some of you might be familiar with Francesca, aka Pretty Nice Video, but I met Pretty Nice Video a little while back and asked her if she was interested in coming on today. So she said yes, and we're going to get to know Francesca a little bit better and get to know her story. She makes pretty nice videos. She is really good at the video editing, and I really love her videos, and she does all kinds of different stuff on d.tube and also Greenhouse Radio. She's a DJ over there, and so I'll bring Francesca on here, and let me drop her link real quick and bring her on. Hey, let's see. Let me make sure you're unmuted on my end. You sure are. Let's see.
Okay.
Hey, Francesca, how's it going this morning?
Right on. It's pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on the show today. Now we met in the Information War Discord channel, and you like to have talk a lot about what's going on in the world and do a lot of videos about stories and events and stuff like that. So Yeah, maybe you could tell everybody a little bit about how you got started making your videos, and I mean how you became so awesome at all the video editing, all that stuff.
No, honestly, once when I became ill, and I was, looking for something to do. I guess at first it started out for ways to find out how to make money, but when I joined Steam, I realized, it's a chip in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can make money. Yes, you can do that. But to say to advertise it like come and make money, I think that's the old paradigm and that needs to switch. I think it's a place where you have a chip in a chair and you can experience growth and find yourself. And it gave me purpose. And I said to myself, you know what? I want to do d.tube too. So I edited my first video and it looked kind of crappy, And I said, well, how am I going to change this?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm just going to have to learn. So I started watching YouTube videos. I started looking up tutorials. Anything. I mean, sweat, blood, tears, crying. I broke a computer in the process. I mean, you name it. It's not easy to self-teach yourself because you're not teaching yourself everything. So while you can know all of this great stuff, you might mess up in one thing and it's like, it's frustrated. But I think that the first year of frustration and all that has set me up a little bit of a harder shell.
Yeah.
Learning, so I'm not taking the learning defaults so when I'm like as bad the second year, but I just self-taught myself perseverance and repetition. Believe it or not, just making the videos, getting them out there is the way that you learn.
Amen.
Is by using the software.
Amen. Yeah, that's the difference, I guess, between what they call a growth mindset or a static mindset. And yeah, nobody is ever going to be the master at something in the beginning, but if you can hold that you're just not good at it yet, and if you give yourself that time to learn, then yeah, you get good eventually. And I'll tell you, your videos are awesome.
Yeah, they're getting better too. This week I've taken off over a week off. Anybody that knows me knows I post at least 4 videos a week, but I've taken an entire week off because I've been sitting here brainstorming. I've been looking over CSS stuff and JavaScript and HTML, just looking at little things and tricks and stuff that I can implement in my post or maybe a web page one day. Because again, this is a learning experience. It's not just going to stay with videos, although it will stay video themed. I'm honestly, after talking to you last night and yesterday and stuff like that, I have so much in this brain of mine that I'm almost positive to do a documentary. It's just a little scary for me right now, but I know that I have all the information that I want to do. It's just I even wrote it down. I wrote wake up in my little tablet, wake up, it's 1994. And I always say that. I always say it's 1994 because this blockchain stuff is no different than like cell phones and stuff like that. It's not really for us, although we can use it to get ahead. It's for our data. They're paying us for our data because the first time around in 1994, we didn't know any better. So, I'm doing a documentary about everything, about wake up America, basically, and the different things that are going on with our food, our water, how they're ruining the soil and our water sources so that we can only buy from them, but then their sources. I'm so scared in about a year, in about 10 years, 15 years, we won't get the option to buy organic.
Yeah, this is another big reason, I do what I do is because I believe that, our options we're going to be kind of hurdled into very few options. And so, we really got to start shifting the narrative and start pushing a different direction. So one of the first things and one of the most important things, in my opinion, is to control your food supply and start growing your own food and just start incrementally, just start growing more and more. You don't have to start growing all of it in the beginning,
I'll tell you right now, they are homeowners in Michigan are not allowed to have backyard gardens. People in Florida are not allowed to grow any food gardens themselves. The CDC will put out, there's a snail out there that's killing everybody and scare everybody from growing their own fucking romaine. Excuse my French, right? But that's the way they do it. That's the way they do it. And then people get used to not growing and they lose the privilege to be able to grow on their own property. And that's what I'm scared of. And that's why, my book is called 1990. But I was going to do a book, but the video documentary, it's everything in my head. It's going to be called 1994 because that's when everything completely changed as far as food, medicine. Everything changed from that point on. It took a different paradigm. It wasn't let's help the people. It wasn't, bringing out innovations. Even for people that are trying to make inventions that have great ideas, it's not as easy for them to bring those ideas out because you need so much money to do it. And if they take the invention, they might do something wrong with it, So it's a very interesting world right now. And I'm trying to tie all the elements together. And I had stuff written down for a book years ago, but after talking to you, and then today hearing you say do, and I was like in my chair going, yeah, but I can't do shit because I'm stuck in my chair. But then I thought about it, I can do a fucking video, And it just keeps nagging at me like, Francesca, you could do a documentary. Keeps poking at me over the past few months. Francesca, you can do a documentary, So
yeah,
I'm thinking, I was 14 too, Grim. Ha.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. And man, if you can marry the cryptocurrency now and relate that to 1994, the birth of the internet, because it is exactly what's happening right now. Many people may lose what is actually happening, but we're building a new internet, really.
No, CERN. They're just trying to beat fucking Google so that Steam can be the Google and have its dApps like Google has their apps. And that's all it is. And they're paying us for our data. We are feeding the machines. I see a picture in my head of this thing sucking our brains in front of the computer as we type. And that's basically what they're doing. But I know this. So that is what I'm trading my time for. But a lot of people don't think about it like that, and they think they're going to come on here, get rich, and they get disheartened, and they don't understand that the blockchain has taken a paradigm shift over to not what you can make from it, but what you can do with it. So it's a chip and a chair. You can, like Movement 19, he is doing his tour. He's bringing out on the radio his tiny sound machine and all that stuff. If you have a dream, if you have an idea, then this is the time and the place that you want to make those things happen, and you want to work hard, because there was a same group of people doing the exact same thing that we're doing, but when it was YouTube, Google, Facebook, and in its infancy, So if we stick through it, we're going to be the stockholders at the end of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
That's all it was. I like to end my stuff with the dumb whatever. And so no, I'm really done.
No, you're very passionate, and it's exactly. I wouldn't have gotten where I got with the solar trailer project if I hadn't started a crowdfunding campaign on Fundition, and the support that I got from that was led me to keep pushing forward and keep developing it, and so these things, if you have an idea now, just like you said, it's the perfect time to go for it because we have these tools.
Yeah, and they're available to us. It's like the window is open right now, and for the people that understand what the blockchain can do for them, and I didn't always know this. I think I was on the radio here a couple of months ago. I've learned so much more now than then, because I was just starting my crypto kind of blockchain side of the learning journey. I'm not so much learning about video editing now that I have a lot of the concrete skills already. I'm learning about the crypto and blockchain, about all that stuff. And it's come to me in the past couple months. I've been going to these blockchain meetings with Steam Cafe. He's over there at Steam Creators. He lives here in Vegas. Every 3 weeks, we go meet up, and there's a bunch of different businesses and people that were, like they were talking about how the Vegas casinos were going to start mass adopting crypto because they can save 2.5%. I think it's Visa, if I'm not sure. I think it was something like that. But, that's millions for a casino. So they are going to mass adopt this. They are. It's just a matter of time. You got Bank of America secretly training their employees for cryptocurrencies. They are preparing for mass adoption. It's going to happen. Crypto is going to be the payment of the future. If not because it's easier for them not to have to run a ledger and not to have paid all the people to run and make money, If not for that, then just for the fact that, listen, the blockchain is like a metaphorical space. Remember, we don't have any land anymore. All of our land's been taken from us, all of our farms. But this blockchain is a metaphorical space, a metaphorical land, a metaphorical plot where you can build the business. You don't need a place, a piece of land anymore.
Yeah.
Blockchain right now is that piece of land for you. A little physical place where you can do something and make stuff happen. So that's how I've been learning it lately. And I know that it's going to take off also for the money side of things. So there's a lot of different sides to the blockchain. There's like 4 different sides to the blockchain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't remember who coined the phrase, what is it? Content is king. But I kind of see, and if we can shift into a world of abundance, then, it frees up a lot more people and a lot more of their time to, I guess, consume content and we're already living in that age, but it's, I kind of want, people to take on more of the live in reality part. And I think we talked a little bit about this before the show, how our devices are kind of making us dumber right now.
Sure.
But I think it's all a balance, right? It's all a balance. Like, this is a tool, but we don't want to lose our connection to our humanity in the real world too. So it's all about balance, I think.
I'm working on a video right now, you guys. It's a long one. It's about almost 30 minutes long, but it's St. Thomas. It was a settlement, pioneer town that settled in the 1800s. And when they did the Hoover Dam and they built the Hoover Dam, they flooded the town out. Well, we've had a bad drought, so bad that we've lost over, man, I'm going to have to find a picture one day. Maybe the next time I come on and talk, I'll have pictures ready. But I mean, this water has receded so low. The town has been resurrected for a little over a couple of years now. So I went down there and I visited it, and I just got some really cool footage and stuff like that. So I can't wait to get that put together.
Yeah, that's neat. So what?
Nature. I like connecting with nature. I'll get out there. I'll take my shoes off, get my feet in the ground, because I really believe that all of these frequencies, it's noise pollution, it's light pollution. You get out into the nature and you're going to hear yourself think. You're going to have the answers to the problems that have been running through your head, because they're not going to keep circling in your head. You're going to be able to think those things out. Something to do with all these frequencies and even the smart meters. I know it sounds conspiracy, but think of this. In the 1920s, if you said your government was spying on you, you were locked up and you were given a fucking lobotomy.
Yeah.
But it's true. But it's true today. So people need to start understanding, if you want any indication of your future, you look to your past and you see a steady trend of things that are not true becoming true. Why? Because we are smart and we put the pieces together. That's what we do. We're human. The thing is that we are divided and distracted with gimmicks.
Yep.
Tricks that we ask for. We ask for them.
Yep.
It's not like we but it does. And you have to remember and remind yourself to connect with nature. My kids, both of them, right now, they have their phones taken away because they have disconnected themselves so much from what is going on. I have to do this to them at least once a year. I have to, for them to get back with it. Yeah, I swear. And they are around these 6 hours a day in school. What do you think that's going to do for their sperm counts?
Yeah, not only that, but just interacting socially, and they've seen a lot of the kids growing up now and getting into the job force having a hard time even socially interacting with their coworkers and their bosses, not being able to even like shake their hand and look them in the eye, things like that. And we're losing that connection to each other and sacrifice for entering this fake world, this digital realm.
Yes, thank you. They're going to have it so that we're all in smart houses. Every single thing is metered. You touch your microwave, they fucking know. And basically, people are going to be complacent, and it'll be, let's pretend you and me, it'll be a big fucking screen the size of my wall. I'll be sitting on my bed and we'll be eating dinner, talking. Hey, let's get together for dinner. Your family, my family. Everybody's gonna eat in front of a fucking huge TV screen. They're gonna be used to role playing, living through screens, and it's gonna go that way if people do not continue to try to connect. And they're turning their back on Mother Nature, and that's the one thing you don't want to do. You've got all this plastic, okay? Plastic takes over 200 years to go away, to disintegrate. Therefore, every piece of plastic that we've ever made is still on this earth, but they are still making more. Why?
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's a trade-off of
but you got to do what you can.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, but the whole plastic thing is convenience, right? And we kind of we're kind of moving towards this age of everybody wanting to live comfortably and wanting to live in convenience. However, that's not really how you grow as an individual. You kind of have to test yourself and put yourself out of your comfort zone, and that's the way you grow. But it seems like today it's like everybody wants to live in comfort, while sacrificing their environment, their their sovereignty in all of these things. So it goes kind of back to what we were talking about earlier. I believe that is the choice that we have to make now. And we can, have the personal responsibility and do, just like you're saying, keep our humanity, reconnect with nature, or go in a different direction, which is not a positive one, it looks like.
Some people, I hate to say it, some people, if they're working every day and they're going through the motions, some people rather believe the motion. Some people just because it's easier for them. I think that if once you go through something, any kind of trauma, I really believe it kind of shakes you up and you kind of realize, wait, things are kind of different. Things are a little different. And I don't know why it takes that. I don't know why it takes that to do it, because I didn't think this way till maybe about 5-6 years ago. Yeah.
If you want to go into that, like you got kind of sick there for a little while, didn't you?
Breast implants, they almost fucking killed me, man. And not a single doctor told me that's what it was.
Yeah.
Specialist after specialist, but because it was plastic surgery, they need to ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
Health, why are you ignoring my health? Tell me what's wrong with me and I can get it figured out. Tell me that you don't want to cover it under my insurance. That's fine. But give me my fucking right to my health. They're changing everything. The paradigms that they're teaching, they're not teaching doctors anymore nutrition. They're changing dictionary meanings. Vitamin C has 5 components in order to be vitamin C. Okay, they changed vitamin C to cornstarch and the ascorbic acid, but there's 4 other components that you need to make it vitamin C. But what they did is in the 1950s, they changed the definition to just cornstarch, and so that everybody thinks that's the truth, and nobody looks to the past because nobody wants to do all the, who wants to look? They're getting rid of books soon. Slowly, everything is going to be in time, unfortunately, unless people make a big enough stink about it. But I mean, can we really start a revolution? I mean, I'm not the Mockingjay.
I definitely believe we can, but it just goes to we have to be the change that we want to see in the world, exactly. and we have to lead by example for sure. And I do see a lot of the people in this community, and I tell you, it's been so hard for me to actually talk about a lot of these things with my local surroundings, but finding the community here on Steemit and making the connections with people that you can actually talk to some of these issues about, it helps so much. Like, it just helps to talk to other people about some of these things and that can vibe with you, and you can find your tribe, and so many great people here is one of the great things. And one of the things I see a lot of people talk about on Steemit is that, they came for the platform, the social media platform. They stayed for the community, or a way to make money, but they stayed for the community, and that's really the big thing for me too, is being able to meet the people that are here. And a lot of people do have the open minds and are willing to hold two differing ideas in their head and still be able to have a conversation. So,
Yeah, because people are different. No, I'm sure there are things that you and I may not see eye to eye on, but you know what?
Yeah.
People need to start understanding that everybody has their. How come my thing won't pop up? Because that's my most recent video. The rest that you guys put up was just my live stream. That won't show. This is my recent video.
I'm sorry about that. Cool.
But anyway, no, you're fine. I just want it to be an interesting one. I want people to watch it. Now.
Yeah.
I forgot. It's okay. We'll just start. Next question.
So you're out there in Sin City, and so is that a place that you want to stay? Is that where you're from, or?
I'm from Florida. And I, of course, because I am so crazy, I guess, decided that being in a climate and in an environment that's the exact opposite to my native, because I was born and raised in Florida and I'm a tropical being. I guess I figured the desert would be the best place for me, which it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Like the city. I love the desert though. But I think I would like to be more Arizona-ish.
Okay.
But I love the desert out here. I really, really do. I love that there's no humidity. I love a lot of things about it. I just do not like the city. I do not like all the lights. I do not like all the glitter and glam. I like to be out. I want to go into it. I'll drive there. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. That's that is one thing about definitely the desert. Coming from a humid environment, I'm in Alabama, and that humidity will kill you sometimes, and not having that humidity is kind of nice, but it still gets oppressively hot. I mean, 110 degrees is still 110 degrees.
It is. But in the same token, it really is, and I know you've probably heard this before, it's a different kind of heat. And I never understood that until I came here. But you know what it is, what it feels like? Okay, when you preheat the oven to make some chicken nuggets, and there's like ding, 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 okay, time to put them in there. So you open the oven, and that first burst of this hits you. When it's 120 degrees, that's what it feels like when you open your door. Try to cook an egg this summer on a rock and see if it happens.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you talked about kind of grounding yourself and connecting in nature. So taking your shoes off and just grounding. If it maybe I've noticed some really great effects doing that myself. Just being out without my shoes on and actually connecting to the earth, and I think it does a lot for you as a human being to actually take your shoes off and walk around.
Exactly. I'm gonna post my link. I have a link for this. I had it on YouTube. It just doesn't play anymore on YouTube. But this is the little video that I did about my breast implants and how I have them there. I kept them. I told the doctor to give them to me, so I have them. Oh my God! One of them broke open when I was at home.
Oh no!
The smell. I swear to you, that saline that came out of there smelled like a dead person. I've smelled a dead person before. It smelled horrible.
Yeah.
So it really sucks that I went through that and all was said and done. But I'm glad that I got them out. And I did start feeling better. I was feeling better until I was hiking too much. And guess what? I pulled something inside my stomach. They're doing all these tests now. They know what it is because they've let it go since 2015. I'm not stupid, but they think it's because of I had a tummy tuck procedure. You guys, I lost like 100 pounds, over 100 pounds. And when I lost the weight, I don't want to sound like some fucking douchebag person that gets a bunch of plastic surgery or something. I was under the spell of wanting to be pretty.
Yeah.
I never understood. I was always pretty no matter what. But now the weight loss had the weight. I was actually 25 or 20 pounds heavier than this before picture. I don't have a picture of my real before. But now this is when I still had the breast implants in this picture. But I lost a bunch of weight and I said to myself, I want to look the way I should feel. So I went ahead and I had breast implants already before. I had them redone, and then I had a tummy tuck. So when all of this health issue started with a bad fall. I had a bad fall, and that's what catapulted, because it tore the natural bag that your body makes over the implant, and there was mold and toxins in it. So I got sick from that, and it kept leaking. It would heal itself and it would leak. You see, your body builds a shell around the implant. So there's bacteria and everything. It's only when that shell breaks, not the implant, the body shell. It's like this weird shit that your body makes, because it even built it around pacemakers and shit.
Yeah, because it's not natural. It's not supposed to be there.
Exactly. And once the toxins get out into your body, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Yeah. So did
now
that?
I have a hernia. I have a hernia situation where it's healed and then torn open again and healed, and I can feel my intestine from like my small intestine from all the way from my right hip to my middle of my, down where my C-section is. It's my C-section that tore, and they're trying to not look at it. I get that same nostalgic feeling of whenever I was dealing with the doctors with my best breast implants, and I feel that same feeling, and I know they're ignoring what's wrong with me because they think it's my tummy tuck, but tummy tucks don't cut through muscle. They don't. Only C-sections, and I had 2 of them, thank you very much. And I'm really mad at this medical community. I'm so upset.
Yeah, I think Western medicine is pretty good at doing traumatic things or healing traumatic injuries, but they're not so good at overall health and trying to help their patients with their overall health.
They only care about traumatic injuries because that's where they can get their science experiments. That's where they can get their teaching, their learning. They can't do bodies under the London basements anymore.
Oh yeah,
we are their guinea pigs, whether anybody realizes it or not. Breast implants were never passed by the FDA. 5G has not been tested.
Yep.
Study up. That 5G shit. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
It's gonna mutate DNA. It's gonna do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it's serious business, and definitely worth raising awareness and people understanding that. Yeah, man. I mean, they are rolling it out like crazy. They are pushing for this thing to come out without anybody asking questions. They want to get it out before anybody can really catch on to what's going on. So, yeah, it's for real. Something that they've seen has interacted and can harm DNA.
No, it is tested. It is tested. They already know. The thing is that these companies, what they do is they hire people to make a test and make a scientific report showing it does not cause harm.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's like that movie "Thank You for Smoking," where the guy was sent out to go tell everybody that tobacco won't, or cigarette and the big tobacco companies is not going to hurt you. So,
never seen that.
Yeah, you should look it up. It's called "Thank You for Smoking." He's the spokesperson that's supposed to pretty much convince everybody that tobacco or cigarettes are okay for you. They're not going to kill you.
Okay. No, I quit smoking. They will kill you.
My
dad's 90. My dad's 91, has COPD, and he smoked cigarettes ever since he was 10. But you have to also remember that his cigarettes for the first 40 years didn't have all them extra additives and shit. My dad was born in 1929. He's a lot older than a lot of dads. But
yeah, they just used to be. Sorry, go ahead.
Day, you smoke, you have emphysema by 40 and 50.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was a smoker for 6 years and I quit. I had to go cold turkey to quit, and it was one of the harder things that I've done. It's just for about 3 weeks, I just wanted to smack some people.
I had to view it like this. I told myself, it's all about choice. Now, luckily, I had the surgery to take out my breast implants to help me. And my want to take those things out was so good that I quit smoking, just like when I got pregnant. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, I quit. It was like somebody else's life. That baby was more important than my own life. I couldn't quit for myself, but I could quit for other things. And when I had the chance, because when you go under surgery, they don't want you smoking 4 weeks before, 4 weeks after because of healing. Well, I literally took this chance to not smoke, and then I told myself it's all about choice. And I find that whenever people were smoking around me, I would say, you know what? I really want a cigarette. And they would go, oh, is it bothering you? And I'd say, no, smoke. all about choice, and me talking about it takes the power away from it, and it does. And that helped me say no from it. And it's still hard. It's never going to be easy, but
Yep.
just one of those things, you know. It's another thing.
Yeah, one of the things I realized was that I did it a lot out of habit, and once I was able to get over the cravings, then I just tried to get myself in situations where I wasn't trying to get in the same habits, I guess, trying to break the habits of, you know, going on a journey and getting in my car and smoking, and just kind of like cut down some of the trips I was doing and different things like that. Tried to stay away from other people that were smokers and things like that. And yeah, it's difficult.
Sugar's another one. Sugar's another thing that's really bad. I get it that people love it. I was lucky to not been born with a sweet tooth. My birthdays, I never wanted a cake. Now I do have a sweet tooth. Once a month, I get my sweet cravings. And but other than that, I don't eat a lot of sugar. But it's hidden in a lot of your foods today, and people don't understand. You know, when they did this whole taking the fat out of the food, they just replaced it with sugar. You know, and it's just another test so they can watch for the next 10 years, and they watch everybody's health has changed drastically since they switched fat for sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sugar has the same dopamine response, I think, as heroin. It's just very addictive, and yeah, there's so much sugar in so many things now, and
I think there's heroin in McDonald's cheeseburgers or some opium, because every time I eat one, I'm like in love and I want another one, and it's gone. Like, you know, I don't know what is it about fast food. I cook organic at home, and it's great. Man, you know, when I started buying organic groceries, let me tell you the story. I've never believed in that whole bullshit GMO, none of that. But it was like 2012, and I remember that I don't know if I got like, or maybe it was 2013 or something like that I got some cottage cheese from Trader Joe's. And when I took a bite, eat cottage cheese, I used to love it as a child, but I stopped eating it like when I was like 10 or 11, 12, and I used to gobble that shit up, right? Well, when I ate it, my brain to 1985, when I used to take my dad's cottage cheese, it tasted again. Once I realized that, I started buying all organic food. Then everything I would buy was like, oh my God, this banana smells like a banana. You buy a GMO banana, they don't smell like a banana. You buy an organic banana, when you peel it, it smells like a banana.
Yeah.
I started realizing that my food, I can taste it. Also, my body can poop better. My body actually processes it. It doesn't back it all up.
Yep.
They are creating the obesity epidemic, the cancer. They're creating it all. It's with our food, and it sucks because these foods that they're creating are addictive. We are not going to want to choose the salad when there's a bunch of shit that we like. You see, it's harder.
Oh, it absolutely is. Yep.
I force myself.
Yeah, it's Robbie Olson and I were talking about this recently too. He's got some issues, and definitely when he started to grow in aquaponics and stuff like that, him and his family noticed a lot of good benefits from it and starting to recover some of their ailments and stuff. So there's a big deal about getting the proper nutrients and minerals and a lot of the stuff that's devoid in our food, and it is one of the ways that we can reclaim our sovereignty is to.
America's the only obese, starving people I've ever seen in my life. You got people that are malnutrition, but they're obese. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Well, you got, what's her name? Peachy Mod over here. She said she barely has sugar except for fruit, but she knows when you crack. Yeah, when I have my sweets, it is hard to get back on track. And it's hard to moderate it. So I do stay away from it, but every once in a while I will break it, and then it's hard to get back on track. It really is. It's a drug for your brain that you don't understand how it works, because it's not a drug like caffeine, cocaine, heroin. It works different. It works silently in the brain. You know, it's a tricky thing.
Yeah, Robbie mentioned up there a little while ago, there's something called candida that lives in your gut, and it uses sugar to transform itself into a fungus, and it actually can take over your body and kind of make you want to crave those sugars and stuff to help feed it.
And there's another strain of candida that is entering the United States, that it's a really bad parasitic form, and they're not talking about it. In fact, I have some of the information all saved. I'm doing a CDC video about it, because the CDC is now announcing it finally. But they were keeping it quiet. This hospital room, they had a quarantine, had this weird strain of candida, and it was everywhere. They had to close down that hospital. It was like in London or something. There's a killer, go patient 0. Thank you. There's a killer candida go around. That's the one I'm talking about. They're not talking to people about it. The hospitals are not telling people that they have patients with it, because then they're scared that people won't come to their hospital. Okay. So it's a lot right now in the East Coast. It hasn't reached the West Coast as much yet, but it's true. There are these things that are going around now. The normal candida that we have right now is kind of a gut bacteria that we're supposed to have a little bit of. We're supposed to have 20% bad bacteria, 80% good. But what this food does, the food that we eat, it enables candida to grow and the bad bacteria to get your gut pH balance off, and that it's not the 80-20 that it needs to be. It's the backwards way. And that's when you start having indigestion, gas, and then it slowly turns into diverticulitis. And then they tell you, and they give you medicines that make it worse and cover the symptoms. And then you get the fucking Crohn's disease and shit like that. I had supposedly diverticulitis. I had that. Now that's not curable, supposedly.
Yeah.
I did diatomaceous earth and bentonite clay with you have to have a little bit of vitamin C, and I had 100% cranberry juice, 100%, no sugar, just the natural stuff. And 2 ounces of that, mixed it up about a month, and I started pooping just fine. Everything was normal. Everything was normal again. So why are they telling people to take this medicine that blocks their stomach acid, which, okay, now your stomach's not going to hurt, but because you're blocking the stomach acid, now you're creating a whole host of other issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I've looked into the whole natural healing in that path, and there are so many good solutions of using more natural medicines. And what you're talking about, like the binders, can help definitely help with a lot of the problems in the gut and things. And yeah, there's all kinds of great solutions out there. I remember reading a book by G. Edward Griffin. It's called A World Without Cancer, and that is such a eye-opening book to read. He spent the time and did the dive into what's called a amygdalin. It's the compound amygdalin, and they synthesize it into something called laetrile. But what it is it's a compound in certain types of seeds, like apricots, and then like apple seeds, and bitter almonds hold the component. But there's a cyanide component in there. In your healthy cells have an enzyme that can block it, but cancer cells can't create this enzyme, and so it pretty much just obliterates the cancer cells. And so it's a fascinating book to read, and it's the treatments and the cures, and a lot of these things are out there. And one of the big ones, another big one is blood pH. And if your blood is more alkaline in nature, then you will your own immune system can help you fight off many things. But if it's more acidic, then you're gonna more susceptible to certain diseases and stuff.
Oh, I love Dr. Berg. Who put that up there? I love Dr. Berg.
That was Robbie.
He explains everything so great so that you can understand it on a very simple level, so that you understand what the food and what enzyme and what this is. That guy is great. I love that guy. I may not know all the words, but I know what he's talking about. I love watching his videos. you know those funny sayings and idioms that we have throughout the years and stuff like that. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's true. Those little sayings are freaking true. I have learned every single one because I study words too. I like into like etymology and stuff like that. You know, the meaning of words, prefixes and postfixes, and you know, you learn so much about your world just learning about your stuff.
Absolutely, and it's not something that they really teach either, and it probably, and most definitely on purpose, so that, you know, we don't know the history, and so we're using all these words and not even understanding what they mean.
Change it. They're trying to change it. I know that where the Declaration of Independence is being held, I know that now the tours and stuff like that, they're not about the Constitution and now the whole thing is, oh, we're the Liberty Bell of internationalism, and we have the right. They're pushing this. We made it so we can amend it type thing, and I just don't really appreciate them changing fucking history. I don't.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing that I've been getting into a little bit recently. There was a good talk on YouTube with it was with Max Egan, and I think it may have been Max Egan and Derek Bros, but they were sitting down and talking about how everything moving into the digital realm is so easily manipulated and sanitized and can have different meanings. But, you know, we're moving away from things in print where you can actually get the root meanings of things and understand there's so much more in those words and on print than the digitized information.
It doesn't. If you, I know that we may have talked about words before. I'm not sure, but you know, they are slowly changing the words and slowly changing everything. The school isn't a school to teach us what we need to know. Now, I mean, I have a 4-year college degree and I couldn't even get a damn job. And Social Security tells me, with your level of disability and level of education, we think that you will have no trouble finding a job. Oh, really? Because when I applied to work at the Social Security Administration office, my 4-year degree, well, how come my education wasn't good enough then? That's what I wanted to tell them. But, you know, you can't talk back to them, so.
Well, I think, I mean, one of the big issues is that the market is so flooded with people with degrees that everybody thinks that they have to get a degree, and thus it makes the degree a lot less meaningful. So
I wish I would have spent my time learning like I learned my fucking editing shit. I wish I would have spent my time actually doing instead of fucking learning. Learning, you will do when you're doing. Okay, that learning bullshit of sitting down, no, the best way is to immerse yourself in it and to move, to get into it, like you said, to do something. Because when you do it with your hands, people that cut hair, they don't learn shit in the school. They learn when they get out and they start cutting hair and then they fuck up a couple times. That's how they learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the basic things aren't taught. Like, we should all learn how to grow our own food. We should learn how to build something. You know, we should learn how to fix the things that we have.
They don't want that.
Right.
No.
Right, because if you can get people to just have the book knowledge and memorization, then they're not critical thinkers, and they're not they're always going to be somewhat dependent on the systems that you've set up, because they're not able to see and think and be creative. You pretty much you're pushing the creativity out of the person. And
do you have kids?
I don't. No.
Well, my kids are 15 and 13, and let me tell you, my daughter, she's perfectly happy doing her amino. She's a great writer. She's a great, she loves to draw and all that stuff. The thing is that these kids today, they do role-playing, where they fan fiction, characters, and then they role-play and they write a new story based on those characters, but in a different storyline. So like Camp, but in Alice Madness Returns. They like, and they do it. So they're perfectly content in this pretend world. Perfectly content. And now my daughter rides a bike to school every week. But on the weekends, you know, right now she's punished, so she's not going outside today. But on the weekends, I get her out. I tell her, hey, go ride your bike for 30 minutes, you know, to get them out. Because when I was a kid, we didn't do this. We came home, we looked to see where all the bikes were, and that's where we went. We ran over to wherever the bikes were at, because that's where all our friends were, you know. And I really believe that the newer generation don't know it different, because it's like the kitty litter box effect, I call it. Okay, you go to somebody's house and you can smell the kitty litter box. Okay, but if you're the person in the room, you're used to the smell, so you don't smell it. It's the same thing. So they're the new generations being brought up under this new paradigm. They don't notice the difference, and they can't understand the way we see it, if that makes any sense. Sometimes it's hard for me to articulate. So where in our generation, it was more like our parents saying, oh, these young whippersnappers, oh, these kids, you know, the world is going to hell in a handbasket. You know, it's different for our generation. Now we're saying different things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's just nuts. It's nuts. The progression of the world and the paradigm shifts are definitely through media and through the school.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, you know, it really is. If people have the abilities, they're more confident in themselves, and then they can stand up to people feeding them a line of crap. And you know, the system as it is doesn't want those type of people around, because it's too much pushback for the current system as it stands. So if you have children that are, able to, fix their car if something goes wrong, if they're able to grow some of their own food, if they understand how yeah.
My Volkswagen, my 69 Volkswagen, man,
Yeah.
what an easy car to fix on. But you know what? Today, the new cars, they're making it impossible for you to do the work yourself.
Oh yeah.
That's why I appreciate the older cars.
Yeah, me too. And the whole cash for clunker scheme, that was definitely a scheme to get rid of a lot of those older cars that still had some good life in them.
Oh yes, it was. Boy, wasn't that?
Yeah.
It's like the whole new Coke thing. The new Coke thing was only a way for them to reintroduce the classic Coke, but to have a high fructose corn syrup. That's all that thing was for, so that the people wouldn't notice the change from sugar to high fructose corn syrup. So what they did is they said, hey, we're coming out with new Coke, like in the 90s. And everybody like bought it. And everybody's like, I don't like it. So Coke was like, okay, we're going to go back to Coca-Cola Classic. Only when they went back, they didn't go back to the actual real ingredients. Instead of sugar, they put high fructose corn syrup, and nobody noticed the difference. Why? Because they were tasting the new Coke, and they got confused. And when they had the old Coke, since it was so close, they didn't think anything of it. They were like, oh yeah, we got our old Coke back.
Yeah, it's that's definitely some of these things when you look into it. One of the big ones that I learned about was the whole story of fluoride being put into the water. And you go back into that and you start to see there was this guy, Edward Bernays, and he was instrumental in starting the propaganda campaign telling that it's going to be great for your teeth and everybody's going to be great. Fluoride's great for you. and yeah, they use that a lot. They use the marketing and propaganda a lot to get everybody. That was another thing that was brought up recently, was the mainstream media got caught with their pants down using a stock photo for this whole measles vaccination thing recently. I saw about that. That was pretty funny.
Oh, my son has high functioning autism and ADHD, and show that the smart meters.
Yeah.
So 10 moms that have children with autism, 10 moms with children without autism. And what they did was they did a study, and the 10 moms that were sleeping by smart meters, their kids had autism spectrum disorder. Now, with that being said, you see this nursery water right here?
Yep.
I used to take that water, and I used to, you can look it up. The picture's kind of small. I guess I don't know how to look it up. But I used to take that nursery water to make my kids formula, their milk. Guess what? With added fluoride. It says it right on the label. With fluoride added for healthy teeth.
Yeah.
Steemit. But I was not. Now my child changed around 18 months after he got his shots. He had these big fucking knots under his leg, and he had fever for like 3 days. And then after that, he kind of just skewed a little. He was just a little off, a little bit, and I couldn't put my hand on it. Like, what was the issue? He wasn't really talking. And I don't know if it was the fluoride or if it was the vaccines or if it was me sleeping by a smart meter, or maybe it took all three. I don't know.
Yeah, there's been there was a while back with the movie Vax, there was a CDC whistleblower that actually confessed that there was they found a link in the vaccinations and to autism, and so that's a movie I kind of tell everybody to go watch. But isn't it funny that there is a giant campaign to pretty much scrub the information, any anti-vaccination information from the internet?
Oh God! And now there's this movement against anti-vaxxers. Like there's some kind of fucking hate group or some kind of militia. Hey, when I was little, I got fucking chicken pox. That shit was normal. So I don't know why you people are trying to not, they're fucking with the normal order of life.
Yeah, and the whole thing is that why not have people question the ingredients and some of these things, and why not even change the methods for producing these vaccines? There used to be oral vaccines where you would just take it with some food or something like that. They put on a sugar cube or something, like they didn't have to inject it into your body. And so you have another layer of protection through your digestive system for these things. Huh. So, there's different ways, and it's just like shutting the conversation completely down. And, you have to do it this one way or else you're crazy.
Yeah. And who knows, for all we know, doing it the oral way with the sugar cube may do a chain reaction and cause a cancer cell that'll start growing a tumor. We don't know with this country. That's the thing I've learned when it comes to this country. It is not the America we think it is. There is not a test subject. No, we are the test subjects. We are the rats. We're just because everything that we do, they're doing to us. So if we're experimenting on rats, there's someone above us experimenting on us. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah. I guess the big takeaway is just. The big fucking radioactive thing that's going on right now. But patients here just brought binary and trinary weapons. But our microwave is not healthy for us, and it is a proven fact that these microwaves, the waves that come off it, are radiation. It's a different type of radiation, but it's still radiation. So they're building these high tech radiation like sonic weapon type things. Yeah. I wasn't laughing at that. I was laughing at sound waves, what he was talking about. But sugar is poison. And a lot of these things, there are better ways of doing it. Yeah, I've even heard you can mix some of these vaccine things with CBDs, and I would just definitely it's up to everybody to do their own research and to look into these things and to come to their own conclusions. But yeah, you're definitely the number one rule. I always love what George Carlin said. His number one rule is to not trust anything the government tells me.
Now, what people need to wake up in America, these scientists and stuff like that are doing good research. They need to stop believing in their country because they sell their research off to their country to make money. And they don't realize that all they do with that is they roll it up and they keep that information for themselves and their rich fucking families. And they get all the great medical treatments. They get all the good innovations. We get shit.
Yeah, absolutely. You even have some of these tech tycoon guys that they don't let their kids use the Wi-Fi devices in their phones. They tell them not to have them near them. So yeah, they know what's up. But exactly like you're saying, we become the guinea pigs. So it's up to all of us to question and to look into these things and do our research and come to our own conclusions about
I
them.
love George Carlin. You know George Carlin is rolling in his grave right now.
Yep.
He is rolling in his... If he could be here today to see how much the world has changed since he's died, he would have said, gosh, because I died, all this happened? You know what I mean? Because, man, you know, he was a funny guy. You can't joke like that anymore either. They've made it so that people... titles. They made titles for people to stubbornly cling on. And, you know, I use the gay community as an instant because now there's like 15, 20 different little titles. But you know what? These titles, each of those little individual communities within the gay community will start fighting against each other, because that's what happens when people stubbornly cling to these ideals. You are not any of those things. You are people. You are human beings. You are here to spread and connect with the earth. You're not... They're blocking every form. I love that. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, pretty nice. We're coming up on the end of the show, so if you have any final comments or anything, you can go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to everybody in the audience. Movement 19 for sticking around. Breeze, Darisco, Grim, Patient Zero, Round On, Sound, Photon, the Kitty Girl, Rider 43, Ex-Country, Ren. Can I just say Ren? Because the Ex-Country Travelers is so long. I'm going to mess it up. But yeah, I just really thank you guys for tuning in.
Awesome. Thank you for being a guest with me today. Pretty nice video. It was a pleasure having you on and getting to chat with you. And
I appreciate it too. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, you're awesome. I really enjoy getting to have some conversations with you and get to talk about some of these things, because it's tough to talk about with a lot of people. But thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Pretty nice video. Give a good shout out to everybody. And thank you guys for hanging out with me today on Meadows and Makers. We'll see you next week on the MSP Wave. Same time, same place. And we got Crimson Clad and her Steam Wave Saturday coming up here. And so stick around for that and get all the good information, the tasty information from the Steam universe, the Steamiverse, and check out and hang out for some tasty sounds from Crimson Clad coming up next on Steamwave Saturdays. So thank you guys very much for hanging out, and I really appreciate you guys coming to join this morning and hanging out and getting to be part of this conversation. So thank you again, and we'll see you next week. And I'll play you guys out with Awake by Divine and Junk Feathers. So thanks again, guys. We'll see you later.